right, we are coming live for our training. Just give us a second here while I juggle some technology.
That's okay. It'll give Atticus a chance to say hello to his whole new fan club. We did not realize that my cat would be as popular as he is. So say hello to everybody, Atticus.
So, hey everyone, this is Michael and Heather with iPEC Coaching. Both happy to be here. This is our training. We're going to be talking about escaping the fast lane. And Heather made a preview video yesterday and co-starred her cat Atticus. Everyone loved it, so we had to bring Atticus on to the today's call. So, hello, Atticus.
We had many requests to make sure that Atticus was here for today's call. I don't think he's going to stay very long. So so there he is. Hi, buddy.
Busy.
And, we're going to get started in just a few minutes with the actual presentation.
Right. Well, there's the appearance from Atticus. Next week I'll bring my cat. So, hey everyone, welcome. We'll officially get the ball rolling. My name is Michael. I'm the marketing director for the iPEC Coach Training Program. And Heather, of course, is the admissions director for the Coach Training Program. And we've got a fun presentation today. We are going to give you a little taste of the some of the content that is taught in our program, specifically the first 3-day training of our program, which is called Life and Leadership Potentials Training. We'll mention that a little bit later on. But this is a fun presentation to share. Both Heather and I have done this together a lot. I've done it myself live in person at many different places, so people really enjoy the information. So Heather, say a quick hello and I'll get my technology ready and I'll share my screen and we'll get the ball rolling.
Perfect. Awesome. Hello, everybody out there in remote land. Please feel free. There is a little Q&A folder down at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to type in there wherever it is that you're calling from. I always love seeing all the different places where people are joining us from. We had somebody from Scotland once. We had somebody from Germany and Austria. And it's pretty awesome when people from all over the world are joining us for these awesome trainings. Oh, Ashley. Ashley says, hello, kitty. Yeah, Atticus says hi, too. He's such a good kitty cat. Oh, great. We've got Tracy, who's calling from Ohio. And, oh, Ashley is calling from Florida. Hello, everybody out there. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We know that your time is valuable, and we know you have lots of other places you could be spending your time. So the fact that you're taking time out of your day to come to this training really shows us that you guys that everybody who's here with us today, you're really wanting something a little bit different in your life. You're wanting to be able to show up a little bit differently and to get rid of some of this frustration and anxiousness and stress and feeling tired. And so our hope for you today is that what we're going to share with you is really going to help you do that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. And I see Susan from Toronto. We've got Tori from Maryland, Aria from Baltimore, and Kathy's from Dallas. This is awesome. Wonderful. Well, welcome everybody. And I think we're probably, Michael, is your tech ready to go? Are we?
Yep. Just want to make sure everyone can see my slides. If anyone wants to type in and say, yes, I can see them. That
I can see them. I don't know if I count or not, but.
Yes. All right. Everyone, Diane can see them. Tara can see them. Thanks to everyone. And we are broadcasting live to our Facebook page as well. So hello to our Facebook viewers out there. So yeah, we are ready to roll. So take it away, Heather.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So hello, everybody, and welcome to our Fast Lane presentation. If you're feeling frustrated, anxious, stressed, or tired, you are definitely in the right place. Michael kind of slightly already introduced us, but we'll just make it official. I am Heather Doyle, the admissions director for iPEC. I hold my CPC, my ELI MP through iPEC. I also have a PCC through the International Coach Federation. I actually went through iPEC's coach training program and then started working directly with iPEC 2 years after I finished their program. So if any of you out there are thinking about becoming a coach, once upon a time, I was just like you, wondering what coach training program would be the right one, and I chose iPEC. So I say that because a lot of times people think that I was working with iPEC, then I went through the coach training program, and I didn't. I was just like you guys. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to let me know. And we actually do a weekly Q&A, and I'd be more than happy to answer any types of questions about, how do you pick the right coach training program? That's a different presentation. I'm gonna let Michael introduce himself. He is our marketing director.
Yeah, hello everyone again. I just noticed on my presentation I need to update it because I have since achieved my CPC and ELIMP since the last time we did this presentation. So I did the opposite of Heather. I started working for iPEC, and then I went through the program to experience it that way. And I think it was probably a different type of experience of going through it in that direction. So I have a slightly different perspective. But the end result is the same. Both Heather and I, we do work for iPEC, but we also have our own coaching practices separate. And you may notice from our videos that we both work from home as well. So I'm up in New Hampshire, Heather's down in North Carolina, our home office is down in New Jersey, and we have team members all over the country, and as well as—
Sorry, that was really confusing. What he meant by home office is our headquarters.
Our headquarters.
Headquarters.
That's what I meant. The headquarters of iPEC is down in New Jersey. But yeah, so let's dive in because this is some cool content.
Fantastic. Yes, let's get started. So here's a slide that's just going to start us off with some quick fast lane statistics. Okay, so as you can see, 87% of workers worldwide are emotionally disconnected from their workplace, and they are less likely to be productive. So in other words, work is more often a source of frustration than one of fulfillment for nearly 90% of the world's workers. I can definitely relate to that previously from going through iPEC's course. I used to be one of those people as well. So curiously, how many of you guys experience frustration in your workplace, and what frustrates you? Please feel free to go ahead and type in some of the things that you're finding really frustrating in that little Q&A folder. And once we have a few, Michael's going to read some of those out. And don't worry, he won't read your name or anything. We'll just say what it is that's frustrating. So go ahead and type in a few things that feel really frustrating to you.
Some typing going on. I can see. First one we saw was traffic.
Oh my gosh, I used to live in Los Angeles. I can totally connect with that.
Bosses is another one.
Yeah.
Lack of opportunity, rapid change in collaborative overload, lost my passion in my career, bored and unfulfilled, too many meetings, poor communication, having updates after updates after updates, too much time in the office, another boss. So lots of common themes, I think, here.
Yeah, and that all of those really are frustrating. Everything that everybody mentioned can definitely be a source of frustration. It really feels like almost like a lack of control, and so it gets really frustrating. You've got a boss or the traffic, something that seems really simple, right? Being overwhelmed, having things constantly changing on you. All of those things can definitely be really, really frustrating. And as we can hear, there is a lot of frustration out there in the world. And as we can see from this slide, we are definitely not alone in that frustration. So what we're going to move on to here is that 40 million adults in the United States age 18 and older also suffer from anxiety disorders. I know it seems like I'm really bumming you guys out, but I promise we're going to get you out of this point sooner rather than later. But what we want to establish here is that you guys are not alone in your frustration. If you're feeling anxious about things, you're also not alone in feeling anxious. It's because in addition to frustration, anxiety often has an impact on productivity and our sense of fulfillment. And as we heard from one person who typed in, having that lack of passion and that lack of purpose, that all leads to not having a sense of fulfillment in our employment, in our job. And with what we do for employment, that's where we're choosing to spend a majority of our time. So as a result of the high level of anxiety disorders, many people end up taking anti-anxiety medication just to keep things on an even keel. A study by the Anxiety and Depression Association of America found that stress impacts the quality of sleep, eating habits, and our level of physical activity. So if anybody out there has ever experienced a major stressful event in the past, it could be anything, right? Or if you are currently experiencing stress that keeps you awake at night, feel free to just type in, "Yup, me," or "thumbs up," or anything. And I'm sure we're gonna see that you are not alone in that, especially when we look at this slide, because 49% said they've had a major stressful event or experience in the past. They're sleeping less than usual, 70% of respondents said that. They're eating less than usual, 44% of respondents said that. And they're exercising or playing sports less than usual. And that's 43% responded to that. So it sounds to me like there is a lot less fun happening out there in the workplace and in the world. And there's more frustration and anxiety and stress and feeling tired and overload. So how many of you have experienced racing thoughts or stress that causes you difficulty in falling asleep or getting a good night's rest? Okay. Some of these stats were a little shocking to me. So over 20% of Americans suffer from chronic sleep loss or untreated sleep disorders. Poor sleep can contribute to weight gain, headaches, high blood pressure. As you can see from the slide, lots of things can be contributed to poor sleep. So all of that I felt a little familiar with. This is one that shocked me. More than 1,500 deaths a year are caused by drivers falling asleep at the wheel. I mean, we all hear a lot about, drunk driving, don't drive after you've had a glass of wine, but I did not connect a lot of this with simply falling asleep at the wheel. 1,500 deaths a year. So the impact of a lack of sleep on the human body really impacts its ability to function optimally. So if you are feeling frustrated, you are feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed, and it's resulting in you also feeling tired, like this is something that really could impact your physical safety. So we call this the fast lane, and it's not really the fast lane that you really want to be in. So Michael's going to help us dive a little bit deeper now.
Yeah, definitely. The fast lane, the question is, what gets you in the fast lane? Usually we're looking at the item of the things you guys mentioned earlier about your boss or traffic or the things that cause you to get in the fast lane as the reasons for being in the fast lane. I want to kind of go into each of these individually a little bit more because it'll help us to reveal what's causing us to get in the fast lane. So the first letter in our acronym of FAST is of course frustration. So that feeling of being upset or annoyed, especially because of the inability to change or achieve something. So what are some things that cause you frustration in yourself, with yourself? So one example, we gave some examples earlier, but also you could be, I get frustrated when people make a commitment and then don't follow through. That could be one example of frustration. I also experience frustration when systems and processes make life more difficult than they should be. It's the bureaucracy of whatever you're engaged with that filling out this form and doing this procedure, and it just makes things more complicated or difficult than they should be. That can cause some frustration. A lot of you typed in some different examples of what cause you to feel frustration. What I want to ask you to do, just maybe on a piece of paper, or just even in your head, what are some very specific things that cause you frustration? Someone typed in earlier their boss. Someone typed in their husband. Those are examples, but go a little bit deeper. What is it specifically that is causing the frustration? And then next to that, write on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very low frustration, 10 being, oh my gosh, crazy frustration. Figure out where that's landing for you right now on a scale of 1 to 10. So, well, I'll ask you to do that a few times when we go through these. Let's see. Moving on to anxiety. So anxiety is the feeling of worry or nervousness or unease, typically associated with an event that's coming up or something that you're really uncertain of what's going to happen. So again, I want to ask you, what are some things that cause you anxiety? What causes you to be worried or have nervousness or unease? So a couple great examples. experiencing anxiety when a major change is imminent and it's unclear what it might look like. It could be as simple as, I lost my cell phone and I can't find it. That's a bit of an anxiety. You ever have that feeling of you reach down and your wallet's not there in your pocket, or your purse isn't next to you, Heather, and you know that.
Well, this actually just happened to me 2 days ago. I spent 10 minutes looking for my cell phone, panicking that I'd left it in the grocery store. It was in my hand. But I got really anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, I left my cell phone in the grocery store. And I had the bags from the store in my hand with my cell phone. 10 minutes, I tore the car apart. The whole thing was in my hand the whole time.
Oh boy, so you're good. You're in a good place for this presentation, right?
Totally.
So again, asking everyone on the presentation, what is it that's causing you anxiety specifically in your world? Go ahead and jot that down. And again, next to it, write down on a scale of 1 to 10, where in that scale is it fitting for you? Is it a 10, like is something very big that's causing a lot of anxiety, or is it, you know, a 2 or 3? That'll help you during this presentation going forward. Diving into stress. So I think we all know what stress is. It's the mental or emotional strain or tension. You look like this guy, or you know, it's stress. You can recognize stress when you see it. So what's an example that causes you stress specifically? One example is experiencing stress when I commit myself and I don't have the work-life balance that I really should. So that's an example. What's an example for you specifically, something that's causing you stress? And again, write down on that scale of 1 to 10, what is causing you to be stressed? Lastly,
I just want to say, I love it that people are putting things into the chat, like what's causing them stress. This is awesome. So thank you so much for engaging and playing full out, everybody who's typing into the chat. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Lastly, we are at the last letter of our acronym, TIRED. And TIRED is kind of where we end up if we have too much frustration, too much anxiety, and too much stress, because all of that is going to wear on you. Cause you to be kind of a drowsy morning, or that 3 o'clock mid-afternoon slump. And that's going to affect you over time, and that'll keep building up. So again, I think this might be an easy one, but you know, think about when you're being tired, or where you're seeing yourself being tired, or lack of motivation, and go ahead and write down on a scale of 1 to 10, a little bit of a self-analysis of how tired are you? Did you not sleep at all last night and you're just wiped out? Does it always happen on Sunday night before going into work Monday morning? When are you feeling tired and overwhelmed?
Maybe you got a great night's sleep. Maybe that's not the challenge at all, but somehow like you get to work and you just got there and you're just exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe from the traffic getting to work. Yep.
Okay, so now let's imagine what life would be like if you weren't in the fast lane, okay? So what I'd like you to do is take a moment and think about a time when you were at the top of your game and life felt really balanced. And what I mean by that, by being at the top of your game, is maybe it's not that, you know, everybody was giving you accolades, but you felt that you were at the top of your game. Like everything just seemed easy and you were really in the flow. And what I'd like you to do is just take like 20 seconds or so, and I would like you to write down some words that describe that moment. Describe how it felt to be in that flow, to be at the top of your game. Like, what did it feel like for you internally?
And feel free to type in to the chat if you have some words that stand out for you.
For me, it's like, it feels like I got every green light when I'm maybe in a hurry to get someplace. Like everything just flows my way. So think about some words that describe it for you. It's awesome. I'm seeing some words: connected, in alignment. Yeah. So now what I would like you to do is think about one of those aspects of your life where you're in the fast lane, okay? Not to bum you out again, But think about one of those things that you wrote down that you rated on that scale of 1 to 10. Maybe pick one of those items that's a 10. You know, if your boss was one of those items, think about that item. Any of those items that Michael had you list out for frustrated, anxious, stressed, or tired. And imagine what life would be like if you could pull any of those situations out of the fast lane and put it back into your flow, back into that feeling of where you felt you were at your best. So just think about that for a minute. Now, what does it take to get there? And what it takes to get there is changing how we experience situations. There's this one thing that changes everything, and it's our energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we experience situations and how that's dependent on the lens or the perspective through which we see them. For example, if you look at your to-do list and you feel overwhelmed, you're probably looking at it through a lens that causes you to see it as being bigger than it really is. That it's coming from a place of frustration. You know, how am I going to get it all done? Or maybe anxiety. You know, oh my gosh, look at everything that I have to do. I'm really stressed out. I'm so anxious about this, right? So the one thing that changes that is our energy. And at iPEC, we look at the world through 7 different energetic lenses that form our perspective. And we're going to talk about those in just a second. But how you look at a situation either creates stress for you or not, either creates frustration for you or not, either creates anxiety for you or not. And it really comes down to energy and perception. And by understanding the way that people, you yourself, look at the world and those situations, we can get great insight into how we operate. And by changing our, quote, energetic lens of awareness, that's what we call it here at iPEC, we can switch and have a completely different view and a completely different experience of the same situation. We can have a more supportive and engaging perspective to help us when we feel ourselves getting into the fast lane. Now, how does this happen? The key is understanding where it all starts. So we all enter the world without an opinion or a belief about anything, right? You're just a baby. You're just like, bam, like, oh my gosh, I'm happy to be here, right? So we have no opinions or beliefs about anything. And then throughout our entire lives, there are influencers from the world around us. And those influencers are what create our core beliefs, our values, everything that creates the filters through which we experience the world around us. So take a second and think about what are some of the influencers that shaped your belief system. I know for me, it's going to be my parents, my teachers, my peers. I remember when I first started going to school and you make like your first friends and then you get invited over to their house and they do things completely differently than at your house. And you're just like, whoa, what's going on? We don't do things like that. So all of these things from when we're kids and all the way up through being an adult, like the first job that you have, you were watching your very first boss, how they lead their company, that's going to start to build some of your beliefs and your values and those filters, right? So think about a few things, some of those influencers that shaped your belief system. And as you are presented with situations, you're going to pass those situations through those filters of your belief systems and those core values that you built up from those influencers. Now, when that's in alignment, when the situation's in alignment with those core values and those belief systems and those filters, you're going to judge those situations to be positive and good. And when they are not in alignment, when they go against your view, you might judge those as being negative, or you might start to feel frustration, anxiety, stress, being tired. So one example might be that if in your family, the focus has always been on being of service and being like helpful to other people, then maybe when you see somebody like put themselves ahead of somebody else, you might interpret that as, or judge them to be selfish, right? So let's say you're standing in line and you see somebody cut into the front of the line. You might say, oh my gosh, you know, that person just pushed their way in. That's so terrible. They just cut themselves in front of all of these other people who are patiently waiting. But if that's not your belief system, if that's not your filter, maybe you say to yourself, wow, look at that person. They're so assertive. They must really have needed to get in there. Maybe there's an emergency and they were really bold and they asked for what they needed. And they asked that person and said, may I cut in front of you? So it depends on your filter as to how you're going to see that situation. So our beliefs and our values, as they become established, we start to function more and more on autopilot until we begin to experience dissonance. And that dissonance means we're going to start to question those belief systems. We're going to start to say, hang on, is that really what I believe? Like, where is that coming from? And since many of our beliefs and our values are given to us by others as we're growing up, we actually have the opportunity to stop and to evaluate the degree to which they support us or they might be holding us back. So we get to choose to make adjustments to those belief systems and to adjust them to decide whether or not they're starting to line up, whether they're in alignment with our true selves, who we truly want to be, or if they no longer actually serve us. Now, how do your beliefs translate into how we show up in different situations? There's actually a formula for this. And the formula is that our thoughts lead into our feelings, lead into our actions. So our thoughts and our judgments around situations are related to our belief systems, our values, and every influencer that we have in our lives. And these thoughts are related to the feelings that we then experience. And as a result, the way we react or we respond. So your thoughts, feelings, and actions can either set you up for success or they can hold you back. I know that sounds a little bit confusing, so let me give you some examples. If you were to believe that you are powerful and creative and super capable, you might feel really confident and peaceful. And so as a result, you might be more likely to take on challenges and to stretch yourself. And when, you know, your boss is saying, all right, we need somebody to head up this team, if you really believe that you are powerful, creative, confident, and capable, you might be like, me, I got that, I can do it, I can add it to my plate. But if you believe yourself to be below average or limited in some way or like really vulnerable, you might have a lot of worry or a lot of fear. And as a result, you might just want to stay in your comfort zone. Just stay in your own lane and be resistant to change because this is where you're safe. So if your boss says, well, I need somebody to head up this team, you might be like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't pick me, okay? That's all going to be decided by all of your filters, those core values, your belief system, because then we start to operate on that automatic pilot. So in order to sustain success, the first step is to recognize, just recognize the thoughts and the feelings that are getting in our way. And then we can start to explore how they impact us. What's the impact they're having on our life? And the awareness of unsupportive thoughts can then lead to challenging those perspectives that have been creating them. So using that same example, somebody who maybe is feeling that I'm not good enough, they might actually say, hang on, stop. Why do I feel that way about myself? I am perfectly capable. Maybe I do want to raise my hand. And the only thing that's changed is having that awareness to actually recognize that core thought that's then making you feel really afraid that is keeping you from raising your hand and saying, I can do it, okay? So I know this is a little bit complicated, but hang in there. You guys are doing great.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier, Heather mentioned earlier about this idea of energy. And energy, we'll kind of dive into this a little bit more, but just look at the concept of energy first and how we're looking at this. So energy is all around us. It truly is everywhere. It's even in the cells of our body, at the molecular, the subatomic level, we're all made up of energy. And when you match the frequency of the reality that you want, you really can't help but to create that reality for yourself. And it's really bringing this idea that it's not a philosophy and it's more of a science. It's more of a physics around how you can approach a situation by shifting your energy and changing your perspective. Here's a good example, and Heather's been given some great examples earlier, but for example, let's say you view the world as an angry place. If you view the world as an angry place, you'll see situations and make interpretations that support your point of view. In other words, what you look for, you will find. Also, others with a similar point of view are going to be drawn to you. You know, if you're always angry all the time, you're going to find good company with somebody else who's angry, and then you'll just commiserate together, complaining about whatever, and that kind of feeds on itself. So you'll notice.
I'll own that. I used to do that.
So you'll notice that if you're surrounded by drama, for lack of a better word, you know, a good exercise is to explore what's drawing them to you. So it's this idea of where your focus goes, the energy flows. So this one way to look at it is the law of attraction. And it's what you're attracting, how you're acting is how things are flowing for you. So let's dive in a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah. So as we continue to talk about energy, it's important to know that there are actually two different types of energy, catabolic and anabolic. So let's talk about catabolic first. So catabolic energy shows up in the form of stress. And when we perceive a situation as being stressful, we might feel fear, doubt, worry, overwhelm, frustration, anger, resentment, maybe even entitlement. And when this happens, your brain signals your body to generate a catabolic hormones. And those catabolic hormones are cortisol and adrenaline. And in order to give you the energy to deal with the situation, they're going to release the cortisol and the adrenaline into your system. So your body is actually trying to support you, but what it's doing is it's releasing this catabolic energy into your system by that hormone, the hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. Now, the energy comes from the very cells and tissues of our body. And this extra energy allows you to move into action really fast. But long-term stress can impact your well-being as it exhausts you physically, mentally, and emotionally. So it's going to deplete all of those resources. And when you're experiencing a lot of catabolic energy over a long period of time, your focus is going to be on the pain or the problem, okay? Now, catabolic energy is not bad. It's there for a reason. You know, back in the day when we were trying not to be eaten by lions, you really needed catabolic energy, all right? You wanted your body to be like, oh my gosh, here comes a whole bunch of adrenaline so you can hightail it out of there and not get eaten, right? So catabolic energy isn't bad. It's just an indicator that there might be a lot of stress that's going on that's draining you. And if you can get to the root of that, then you can release it and not have your body constantly be trying to support you by pushing on that button that's releasing that catabolic energy and thus releasing the hormones of cortisol and adrenaline into your system. Now, anabolic energy, that is not stressful. That is going to be much more supportive. And without the stress, your body is going to generate anabolic hormones. And the purpose of these hormones is actually to heal the body. It's going to build tissue and it's going to generate cells. And this anabolic energy allows the body to optimize itself. And as a result, it's easier to maintain a solution focus and to feel really energized. So as a result of that, it's going to propel you forward into new possibilities and new opportunities because you're not focusing on the problem. You're not saying, eek, I got to focus on this lion, it's going to eat me. Instead, you're focusing on the wonderful, beautiful meadow and what opportunities are there for you to take advantage of because you're not worried about a lion. Now, what we're going to show you next is called the energetic self-perception chart. And it illustrates the 7 energetic lenses through which we experience situations. And level 1 and 2 are going to be catabolic, and they're going to show up more in that stress area. And levels 3 through 7 are anabolic. And as we go up the chart, they become more and more anabolic. So 3 is going to be lower anabolically than, say, 7, okay? Now, depending on your belief system or our belief systems, our values, our perceptions, all those filters, we're going to experience all 7 levels of energy in different situations. And not only are we going to experience all 7 different levels of energy in different situations, we experience them oftentimes all at the same time. So what I mean by that is you're never all just level 1. You're never all just level 7. You got a little bit of everything going on, and there's oftentimes a more dominant level of energy, okay? So during the course of any given day, you're going to experience all of these different energy levels, sometimes even at the same time. So let's take a closer look at levels 1 and 2, because levels 1 and 2 are the catabolic levels. And then after I talk about the levels 1 and 2, and kind of bum you out a little bit, Michael's actually going to take you to a happy place, okay? So at levels 1 and 2, at these levels, people are reactionary because they feel that they're at the effect of life, okay? And I say they feel that way because it isn't necessarily true, okay? And that's what we mean. Some people get a little triggered by that word victim on here. What we mean by that is that it's just a shortcut way of saying you're at the effect of something, or you feel that you're at the effect of something. So level 1, the core thought can often be that victim energy of I'm being held hostage to something that's at the effect of in my life, okay? The core feeling then might be apathy. There's nothing I can do about it. And the core action is lethargy. Because if I'm not in control of this and I'm at the effect of something else, if I'm being held hostage to this situation and there's nothing I can do about it, then why even get up off the couch, right? So you might feel defeated. You might really focus on whatever it is that you feel is keeping you down, right? You might feel isolated, really indecisive, not knowing what to do, overwhelmed. You might want to avoid the situation and just, you know, zone out, just binge watch TV. You might feel like you're in crisis mode, like you've got to do something, you don't know what. You might also withdraw and you're really feeling like I lose. No matter what I do, I'm going to lose, okay? So ask yourself, where do you notice level 1 energy showing up in your life, okay? Be it personally or professionally. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you're somebody who doesn't experience a lot of level 1 energy, maybe ask yourself, where else is this showing up in my life? Meaning, who do I know that has a lot of level 1 energy? Because oftentimes a lot of people with level 1 energy can be really attracted to people that don't have a lot of level 1 energy because they're wanting to have some of that energy to get themselves out of that level 1. They don't know how to get themselves out of there. So a lot of times they'll be attracted to somebody who has a much higher level of energy. Me personally, when I feel a lot of level 1 energy, again, level 1 is not a bad thing. None of these are bad. They're just different indicators. When I have a lot of level 1 energy, for me, I say, oh, I need some self-care. Not feeling so great about myself. Time for me to get a mani-pedi. And I know it's going to make me feel better. So level 1 for me is just an indicator that I need some self-care, that I've given too much away. I feel depleted. So again, catabolic is not bad. It's just an indicator, okay? So if you don't experience a lot of level 1, maybe ask yourself who in your life does. Who do you know that has a lot of level 1? So let's take a look at level 2. Now, level 2 is going to be the fighter, right? And that core thought is conflict, right? Core feeling oftentimes can be anger, and that core action can be defiance. So somebody with a lot of level 2 energy, they might feel really strongly about right or wrong. It's got to be my way or the highway, right? Everything's really black and white thinking. There's a lot of blaming that can happen with somebody with a lot of level 2 energy. Who's responsible for this, right? They're looking to find fault. They're really problem focused. Sometimes they can be very micromanaging. They're judgmental. They can resist. And it tends to be more of this, I win, you lose type of an attitude, okay? Again, same question. If you're not somebody that has a lot of level 2 energy, who do you know in your life, personally or professionally, who is showing up with a lot of level 2 energy? Again, level 2 energy isn't bad, right? People who have a lot of level 2 energy, you'll notice they get stuff done, okay? I know that like when I want to get my house clean, I find a lot of level 2 energy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this place is a mess. I need to clean it up. Let me get out the vacuum, right? So tapping into my level 2 energy for me can oftentimes be a motivator. But if you're somebody who stays there, it's really depleting and you start to wear the people around you down. So just take a second, ask yourself, where does level 2 energy show up for you? Maybe even ask yourself, is it helpful or is it harmful? How long does it stick around? And ask yourself, if you're not somebody that has a lot of level 2 energy, who do you know in your life that does have a lot of level 2 energy? What are the effects of that? Do they seem worn down? Do the people around them seem worn down? So just start to play with this. What we're doing is we're bringing awareness to these levels of energy, to those core beliefs, those core thoughts, all of those things that are creating the feeling of being frustrated, anxious, stressed, and tired, okay?
So Heather, you can come be level 2 over at my house. I'll show you where the vacuum is. Whatever you want.
No problem. The next time I'm like, oh, I want to get something done, I will come over there. I'll clean your house.
So let's go up to the next 3 levels, levels 3, 4, 5. And this is where we start making the shift from catabolic to anabolic. And we'll go through each one of these individually so we can get a better understanding. So next level up is the rationalizer. So this is where your core thought is you're feeling responsibility. The feeling is around forgiveness. And then your action is cooperation. It's this idea that you're going to take whatever situation, cope with it. You're going to rationalize that. I'll try that again. It's this idea of, hey, it's good enough. Let's just get it done. You know, you might make an excuse, but you'll move forward. And at the bottom of the slide, you'll see this theme about I win, you win, different ideas. But level 3 is I win, and rather than you don't win from level 2, it's I win, but if you win too, that's okay. I don't mind. So you'll see from the levels, we're going to progress more and more anabolic as we go along. So ask yourself, where is level 3 showing up in your life? When have you said, oh, it's good enough, let's just go, or I'm tired of this, let's just go, or fine, that's just the way it is, kind of thing. Where is level 3 showing up for you? Or where is it showing up with people around you?
I love in this one, the part about the forgiveness. Where have you rationalized, like somebody behaved really badly towards you and you say, well, it's okay. They were having a really bad time. So it's okay that they yelled at me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do that, by the way.
Level 3 coming out. So next level up, level 4. Level 4 is the caregiver. And it's this idea that your core thought is compassion. You have compassion to others. It creates the feeling of concern. And ultimately, your action is to serve or to do things. Level 4 is the fixers of the world. The level 4 person, you see at the very bottom, the level 4 person wants everyone else to win. They want to fix it. They want to help. They want to put others first. There's a lot of appreciation, a lot of service. You'll see a lot of level 4 from the helping professions like nurses, teachers, and moms and dads too.
And coaching too. A lot of people who want to be coaches have a lot of level 4 energy and they find themselves feeling really depleted. So side note, if anybody out there is interested in that, when you go through the coach training program with iPEC, we actually teach you how to not get depleted with somebody who has a lot of level 4 energy. Yeah,
and that is kind of a drawback of this level is that it drains you. You just feel like you're serving everyone else and you're not taking care of yourself. So who in your life is level 4? Or is it you? Like where in your life are you level 4? Maybe are you level 4 with your kids, but you're more level 3 at work, or other way around, or what have you. Think about how you're showing up with that level 4 energy, as well as people around you. How are they showing up? And again, we mentioned this before, but I just want to bring it up. All these levels that we're sharing here are to create awareness of these different types of energy, and no one person is going to be one level all the time. There's a combination of percentages of different levels that come into play, and that'll change based on the situation of what's going on, whether things are going smoothly or whether things may be going more quote unquote rocky. Let's jump up to level 5. I think this is my favorite level. Level 5 is the opportunist, and the thought for level 5 is reconciliation. The feeling is peace, and the core action is acceptance. So this is where you start to see only opportunities. If a quote-unquote problem arises, you don't even see it as a problem. You see it, oh, what's the opportunity here? What's the, rather than seeing a situation of, oh, that's a problem, that's wrong, it's more of like, oh, okay, that's how that went. What's the opportunity to fix this? Is there something new that I can create? Is there something that we can change in a process that's going to have this not occur in the future? Where you see a lot of level 5 energy is entrepreneurs, people who go out and start businesses and creating new enterprises. There's a lot of level 4 energy.
Wait, level 5. You said
I'm sorry, level 5 energy.
You thought I wasn't paying attention.
No, thank you. So the thing that I want you to take away at level 5 is it's a true win-win on both sides. It's this idea of we both win, or we just don't play at all. So that's a key aspect. So who in your life would you say is level 5? Are you level 5? Are you level 5 in some areas and not so much in other areas? That's a question to ask yourself and create some awareness of how you're showing up energetically in your life. So now we're going to go to the top level. These are levels 6 and 7. These are the most anabolic levels. And let's take a look at these. So level 6, this is the visionary. So your core thought is synthesis. The core feeling is joy. And your core action is wisdom. So level 6 and even level 7, this is where, if you've heard the idea of being in the flow, maybe if you're a musician or if you've seen a musician and they're just in the flow, singing a song or playing the guitar or playing the piano, it's when they're in it, they're just, nothing else is going on around them. They're just in a flow. They're just joy, and they're sharing their wisdom or their gifts or their talent, and they're at peace. So level 6 is about connections. It's being calm. It's going to show up when you lose track of time. And, you know, if you're doing yoga or gardening or working on a project that you really love, that's where level 6 is showing up. And it's this idea of everyone always wins. This idea of being at peace and winning. At what you're doing. So let's jump up to level 7. So this is the most anabolic level. And this is a place of unconditional love and creation and true, absolute non-judgment. There is no good or bad. It just is. It's this idea of non-judgment. It's this feeling of absolute passion. And your action is just creation. The level 7 shows up with people who might be labeled as a genius, someone who is a spiritual leader, or with unconditional love. Mother Teresa comes to mind. It's this idea of there are no winners and losers. There is no winning and losing. That's truly an illusion because it's a judgment. So think about, do you have level 7 in your life? Is it from yourself? Are there times where you're feeling level 7? Are there others around you who are showing level 7?
I love that you said, you know, how do you show up? Because that's actually our next question. Now that you know about all of these energy levels, how do you show up, right? So what's going on? You can see the 2 pictures. Are you showing up like this guy, or are you showing up like, everything's groovy, right? So let's look at these levels in real world examples, right? I forget who mentioned earlier, traffic was a big stressor, a point of frustration. So here's a question. I used to live in LA, so this happened a lot. Has anybody ever been cut off while driving a car, right? That's a real world kind of situation. So just really quickly, level one, somebody who has a lot of level one energy, their thought might be, oh, I always get cut off. This always happens to me, right? They're blaming themselves, right? I'm a hostage to this situation. This always happens to me. I always get cut off. Level two is going to be like that guy in the slide. It's like, oh, you stupid idiot, I'll show you. So level two is blaming the other guy. You cut me off, right? Level three is, wow, that was a close call. He probably drives like a maniac all the time, and it sure must be tough being him, but we're both all okay, so no big deal, right? Level four is going to be, wow, that poor guy, he must have some kind of family emergency that's going on. Boy, I hope he gets where he's going safely and that everything is okay for him and his family. Oh, I really hope that's okay. It's very giving, right? Level five is, wow, that was a close call. I sure am glad that we didn't have an accident. What a great opportunity for me to exercise some patience and to know that my reflexes still work. It's level five, creating that win-win, right? That happened, but I'm gonna make lemonade out of lemons, right? Level six is just another day on the road, experiencing all that life has to offer. And level seven is gonna be, what traffic? What person that cut me off? Doesn't even see it. That's a level seven reaction, okay? So what's your strategy for how you show up? If you want to change your pattern of behavior, if you want to be less tired, frustrated, stressed, anxious, how do you do it, right? So first is just simply to stop, to breathe, and to be the observer of your thoughts. I know that sounds incredibly simple. It's also incredibly difficult because you got to remember, you're on autopilot. It's taken you X number of years of building up all of these influencers and these filters. So stopping in that moment, taking a breath, and then actually asking yourself, what is that core thought? That takes a lot of skill, okay? So as I mentioned to you earlier, your day is just a string of stimuli that has no meaning other than what your perception assigns to it. How you view the situation is either going to create that catabolic energetic reaction, stress, or not, anabolic. And the key is really becoming aware of the lens that you use by default so that you can actually not choose the default, but you can actively choose a different perception or a different lens that's going to support you and propel you forward in the direction that you want to go. So if we look at the situation from all angles, what are the different ways that you can look at this? Because you actually do have a choice in how you respond. So what is the thought that you're having about the situation? Why am I having it right now? What is the real reason that I'm triggered? How is it making me feel? And how am I acting because of it? And this process is going to help you take responsibility for your actions and be at choice. So if you can make this process your new habit by doing this over and over and over with each situation, you're going to change how you show up in the world. The action is preceded by the thought and the feeling. So just by simply becoming an observer of that situation, you're going to show up differently. And now that you have an awareness around the energy levels, you can go into any situation, recognize your energy, and you can make a split-second decision on what you'd like to do and what you'd like to do differently. Bad news, guys. Now that you've been to this presentation, you can no longer be asleep at the wheel of your own life and not acknowledge that you are at choice. So you actually get to take responsibility for how you're showing up. You get to change the game. Just remember the formula: thoughts, feelings, actions. And I can tell you, this simple little thing, when you put it into practice and you do it again and again and again, it's going to change the way that you show up. It has changed the way I show up in my life and in all situations. So if you think you're going in the wrong direction, you have the ability to stop and change that direction at any time.
So let's look at the energy level a little bit more and talk about this idea of your average resonating level of energy, or we like to call it the E factor. So we actually have an assessment that is available to our iPEC trained coaches who can use with their clients, but basically it measures the energy level that you experience throughout your life. And it brings together a numerical average of those. And what that is your average resonating energy level. So it's a combination of all the values of your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energy that creates your overall level of consciousness. And this energy, it's called the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. It quantifies the way in which an individual perceives and approaches their work and their life and how they're going to react to different circumstances and experiences. And it's also going to show, there's different experiences of life where you're under stress or things are going smoothly, and it'll evaluate what life is like when things are going smoothly, but it also looks at when you're under stress, what happens to your energy. Let's jump to the next slide about why this really matters. Why do we care about our E factor? Why do we care about the energy that we were talking about before? Clearly, one thing that may have drawn you to this presentation was this idea of being in the fast lane. When you're in the fast lane, it's not comfortable, and you don't want to be frustrated, anxious, stressed, and tired anymore.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good, exactly. So the energy levels and the formula that Heather shared earlier are a way for you to start elevating above that. And a way to kind of measure how that's working is by looking at your energy levels. And when you're able to shift all of those, the energy levels that we were talking about earlier and all of those situations that are causing you to feel like you're in the fast lane, things are going to start being better in your life. You're going to start have better relationships. You're going to be find yourself with better finances and increased leadership ability, overall energy and well-being, work-life balance and time management. All of those are going to feel the effect of increased energy and the increased average resonating level of energy in your life.
The more often you're in flow with, remember at the beginning of the presentation, when everything feels like it's going your way, when you're more in touch with that, your success levels go up.
This slide, we actually had a study done a while back ago and analyzing the results of over 1,000 results of the Energy Leadership Index. And what this is showing is people who had an average resonating level above level 3, which is, remember level 3 and above is the more anabolic, had reported that they're feeling more satisfied or feeling very or completely satisfied compared to people who were catabolic or were reporting an average below 3, the more catabolic. So you see the darker blue here on any of these items: communication skills or energy, financial success, health and wellness. All of these, you can see every one of these has a much higher level of satisfaction compared to people who have a lower average resonating level. So it just goes to show you an example and data that when you have higher energy, everything is going to be positively affected in your life.
So the big reason why Michael is showing you all of this is to show you that we have a way of quantifying everything that we just told you. I know that when we start talking about energy levels and everything, it can feel a little like woo-woo, it's like, how do you measure that? So what Michael's talking about is iPEC has developed that assessment, a way to quantify it so you can actually see what your average resonating level of energy is. Now, whether you choose to take that assessment or not, it has no bearing on this presentation. The reason we bring it up is because, again, it comes back to that point of, sorry guys, you're no longer asleep at the wheel. Now that you understand everything about energy and you see that there's actually a scientific way to quantify it, it makes it in your brain a much more real thing. And when it's a real thing, it's something that's within your control. So everything that you just learned is a very, very tiny, like little rice-sized kernel, a small amount of what you would learn over an entire weekend of the course that iPEC teaches. And the first module of the whole coach training program, Module 1, is actually taught as a standalone. So you don't even have to do the whole program. If you're like, I dig everything that you guys are talking about, yes, I would like to know more. I would really like to accelerate being able to get myself out of the fast lane more consistently, more quickly, and I'd really like to never even go into the fast lane again, then maybe this Module 1 training is something that you would like to explore a little bit more about. So I'm going to talk to a little bit more on that subject. Again, if it's not your jam, it's totally fine. Just want to leave the door open for people who think, yeah, that might be something that I would like to explore a little bit more. Because now you have at least an awareness around the energy levels. And you can go into any situation and at least, at the very least, recognize your energy level. You can say, wow, I remember from that presentation, I'm really angry right now. I've got a lot of level 2 going on. I don't really want to feel a lot of level 2. I want to show up differently. Well, what level would I like to be in? So in that split second, when you're aware of what energy level it is that you're having, you can stop, breathe, make a decision on what you would like to do instead and how you want to show up in order to be your best self. Now, again, unfortunately, because you attended this training, you can't be asleep at the wheel ever again. Now you actually know you are at choice with how you want to show up in the world. Because you can't unknow that formula, that magical formula of thoughts equal feelings that then equal actions. So this really has changed how I show up in my life. I know it's also helped Michael Robinson too. So just in the interest of time, because I know we're at the top of the hour and I want to be respectful of everybody's time, this really is giving you a method for identifying who you really are and who you choose to be. And when you go to the Life and Leadership Potentials training, you would learn even more of these skills. You'll be able to dive a lot deeper. You would leave a transformational breakthrough experience. It's going to help you eliminate the resistance to your inner blocks. It's going to help you identify those core beliefs that we talked about, because we just touched on that, right? It's like, well, think about some of those. When you go to a whole weekend training, you're going to dive deep. So it's going to help you identify the core beliefs that are holding you back. It's going to help you consciously redesign those beliefs so that they fuel you. And it's going to help you work towards really attaining your full potential. Life and Leadership Potentials training is also going to help you have the capability to consciously recognize when you are reacting to life circumstances, even in the most challenging of moments. And it's going to help you know how you want to choose exactly how you want to act moving forward. It's going to give you the ability to see opportunities when others see problems. Let me tell you, that's a game changer in a workplace setting, okay? If you're somebody who is seeing opportunities when everybody else is seeing problems, you're gonna be a standout. It's also gonna help you see what's right instead of what's wrong. Now, I hope that we have given you a new perspective, an approach for literally rewriting the rules of your life and multiple processes for integrating these new rules so that they become who you are and how you live. Again, today was a small little piece of what you would learn at that first weekend of training if it's something that you would like to do, but at the very least, I hope we've given you a new perspective and something to think about and a new way to reduce your stress and a new way of helping yourself get out of that fast lane, okay? If you are interested in learning more about Life and Leadership Potentials training, we have trainings in multiple locations. I believe Michael Robinson has a little video too.
Yeah, I thought we have a video just 2 minutes long that kind of explains it. It's so helpful to hear from other people talk about what this training has been like for them. Of course, Heather and I can share what it's like for us, but let's look at some other folks, what it's been like for them. Let's start the video.
At the end of this 3-day experience, I'm elated. I feel free, and I'm absolutely empowered to take the knowledge and the breakthrough thinking that I've had here to extraordinary levels.
This 3-day experience has been life-changing in a lot of ways, amazingly powerful, has been inspirational, it's been informative, and it's definitely been a facilitation for growth for me. I would recommend the program really to anybody who is interested in growth, personal growth, professional growth, understanding yourself better, understanding how you show up in situations and how the way you show up impacts other people around you.
I found my voice. I found my voice. Excited, but that's kind of understated, I think.
Wow! That's one word. It's like, wow!
Yeah. Finally, that's the word, finally.
Purposed.
Yeah, purpose. My life is kind of limitless right now, and that there's a lot of possibilities and things that could happen for me, and that I don't have to let myself stop me anymore.
I'm feeling really excited and free right now. It changed the way I show up interacting with people in every aspect of my life. Every human being whose behavior, performance, and interaction with other people is affected by their own energy level. I thoroughly recommend that they go through the iPEC experience.
I came here thinking I was going to learn some technique and some things that I can do different personally in business, in my business. However, it has changed my whole scope of possibilities for myself personally and for people that I can help. And as a leader, it totally exceeds anything that you ever think about coming in here, coming into this session. And I am forever grateful for that. Thank you.
I would highly recommend this experience for anyone and everyone.
So great, just explanation for people who've been through the training. It is transformational, powerful. We really dive into all of the stuff we covered in today's webinar and so much more. So we do have some trainings starting the month of July, starting in about 2 weeks, over 19 locations across the country, as well as Toronto and out in London. So if this resonated with you today, then the next step is to really dive in and start to actualize this at a much deeper level.
Yeah, and even if you're just like, you're not sure, and you do want to just, if you have questions or you want to explore it a little bit more, please feel free to reach out to us. We do something that iPEC does that I think is absolutely amazing. They'll give you a session with an admissions coach. It's a coaching session, okay? A lot of people are like, what do you mean with an admissions coach? We're not going to like twist your arm and say sign on the dotted line. We're giving you the opportunity to get your questions answered, but also to receive coaching from an iPEC trained coach. So it's a really great opportunity to experience the power of coaching and of this energetic process that we've been talking about. So please feel free to reach out to us. What you'll do is you'll connect first with an admissions assistant, and they're going to get to know you a little bit better so that they can make every best effort to connect you with a coach that is the best fit for you, because it's all about making sure that it's the best fit for you. And then they'll schedule a session for you with an admissions coach, and you can get your questions answered, and feel free to ask anything. All of the coaches are certified coaches. They've been through our program, and they are more than happy to help you. Part of iPEC's mission is to raise the consciousness and the engagement of the world. And we do it one person at a time. So if you'd like to talk, we'd like to talk to you. So please feel free to reach out. And yeah, I want to be respectful of your time. I know we ran a little bit over, but really, really appreciate everybody showing up today and playing full out. Thank you so much for participating and putting your awesome comments into our little online spots, and everybody out in Facebook for putting things in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. As always, I wish you a life and profession of your choosing.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.